Jurak Classic Whole Body Tonic is a dietary supplement, not a drug. Therefore, it is useful to affect the structure and/or function of your body in various ways, but it is not intended to and will not cure, mitigate, treat, or prevent any disease. Individual testimonials may not be everyone's experience and do not constitute scientific evidence. Jurak Corporation does not make any drug or treatment claims for its product.
Greetings and welcome to Mar-a-Lago. No, I'm just kidding. Can't I have a little fun? Look, I'm 87 years old. Yep, that's 87-year-old skin. There's no makeup. Sure, I have some wrinkles. What do you expect? But they tell me I look considerably younger than 87. I sure feel like it. And that's the subject, of course, of this video and this whole website is how to stay young or how not to grow old too quickly. We call it the youth solution. Here it is, 2025, and I'm doing a video for the first time for the website. And I'm doing it, folks, because this is really a new era. I could not be more excited about a new government who is thinking about the health of America, which will just be contagious throughout the world. Everybody will jump on the bandwagon once this gets going. I have been in my whole life trying to do something with the health of our fellow citizens. And I've had some success. Whoever drinks of our miraculous preparation has results. But it's like talking to a wall because there are so many other forces making people unhealthy. I have been talking about stomach acidity and eating too many acidic foods, and we should be eating more alkaline foods. And I've been talking about being careful of your diet, being careful of what you give to your children in particular. For years, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I wrote often about how I thought there should be a place for green medicine in this country, in the world, not just the white medicine. And I said there is a place for both. Look, the doctors have been doing whatever they can with whatever they've got, with whatever tools they have. Unfortunately, a lot of the medications are not very good for people. They seem to have more side effects than what they're doing good. That's too bad. I hope that is going to be corrected because there's an absolute need for that kind of medication. But there's an absolute need also for people to have the natural way of looking after themselves. And of course, as they are speaking about it now in the government, a lot of it has to do what we put in our bodies. But folks, there is a lot more to that. Your stress levels. I mean, stress will ruin a body over time. And of course, when you're stressed, you take some medication, and that pushes some other systems out of balance. Oh, balance. Oh, what a word. When you get into the website, go right away to the page where you see Daniel B. Mowry, PhD, author of Herbal Tonic Therapies. Now, he wrote this book in 1993. I had the good fortune to meet him in 1997, and I told him that I have a whole body preparation made with tonic herbs. He didn't say, hello, nice to meet you, Anthony. He just said, no, you don't. And I said, excuse me? He said, no, you don't. I said, I think I do. He said, no, you don't. Well, after a short conversation, I told him, look, can I share a few things with you? And maybe you could have a look and tell me if I'm right or wrong. He said, sure. So I did that. And a couple of months later, he wrote me a long email. And part of the email, he said that he was like flabbergasted that there was anybody in North America who knew anything about the tonic herb concept so long ago, talking about my dad. See, my father developed this beginning in 1922. The story and the history is on the inside of the website in great detail, but he worked on this over a 20-year period, and in 1943 he began to commercialize it, mostly because he couldn't afford to give it away anymore, because people were demanding it. They were coming and asking him for it. So he decided to commercialize it. By 1945, it was such a going concern, he had to form a company. We were up in Quebec City in Canada when he was doing this. He called his company MATOL, M-A-T-O-L. And he called his preparation, as he used to call it, Matonol, M-A-T-O-N-O-L. And I used to watch cars drive up and fill up their trunks. Some of them had license plates from the United States. People were hearing about this and wanting to get their hands on it. Why? Because it flat out works, everybody. It doesn't matter what you suffer of. Look at this fella. We talked about my skin is 87-year-old skin. Look at this fellow. Look at that skin. He had that skin problem all over his body for 17 years. Can you believe living like that? He tried every medication, every therapy, every supplement, every machine, anything that anybody suggested until he was broke. He was flat out broke. Couldn't pay his mortgage anymore. Somebody introduced him to our tonic, the Youth Solution, and within 3 ounces or so that he drank that first day, his eyes cleared up a bit, enough to be able to start reading something. His wife apparently jammed on the brakes as they were driving home. She said, "You're reading." Well, this is not a cure for anything, folks. It's not a cure for blindness, that's for sure. It's actually not a cure for anything. It works to the detoxification, the purification, and the oxygenation of the blood. And when that blood gets cleaner, better, happier, it's like tuning up your car. It'll run better. It certainly seems to run better when you jump into it after you pick it up at the auto shop. After a good tune-up, you think you're in a new car. So same with the body. If the blood can clean itself up one way or another, however you can do it, it happens that the JC Tonic, the Youth Solution, will do that. And when that better blood is better able to do its job, which is, I don't know what does our body do? 1 million things a second? 500,000 things a second? Whatever. There's all kinds of things going on, but all dependent on blood. It goes to every system, every organ, every part of the body, from the tips of the toes to the follicles of the hair. Yeah, that's my hair. It's 87-year-old hair. No, I don't dye it. I could, like some people who are advertising their product. It's dyed hair. And they're saying I'm 80 or 90 or whatever age they say they are, and they dye their hair. I don't dye my hair, but it's real hair. I wonder why. Some people have hardly any hair or very, very thin hair. That's because the follicles are starting to die or have already died. And what's that got to do with? It's got to do with blood. Same with the people with the tingling in their toes. It's got to do with the circulatory system in the blood. And if you don't address it, that tingling turns into numbness, turns into neuropathy. All of a sudden, the toes are starting to turn a different color. And when they get black enough in color, the doctors have no answer. They talk about amputation. We actually have seen people who have had toes like that took the tonic, and their toes started to turn back to the normal color till they became perfect again. This is not a cure for, I don't know, whatever that is, though I don't know what it's called, but it has to do with the circulatory system that is no longer functioning properly to be able to do what it has to do right down to the toes or the follicles of the hair. It's the same thing. And throughout the body, it's the same thing. That's what this preparation does. JC Tonic, the used solution, because if everything functions better, more normally, more like it used to when you were 30 years old, you have a chance of looking much younger. Maybe not 30 years younger, but we have folks who look easily 20 years younger. And look at this lady. What are you? You're a little over 70.
75, actually.
75 now.
Yes, but nobody believes it. And that's what I told him. It was the cab driver. And he was a really nice guy, and he was young. He's just been in the city for a couple of years. And he asked me, and I said, I really don't like to tell my digits. I said, it really is not that important. And I said, besides, you won't believe me anyway. And so he kept on at me. I said, oh, okay. I'm 75. He said, oh, no, you're not. I said, I told you wouldn't believe me. I tell the truth.
That is so great.
I said, I'm so fortunate. And I am. I get 58 at the oldest, and I've gotten, and the other day, someone thought I was 51.
Look at that. Well, I don't know if she looks 50, but she certainly doesn't look 76. She's been drinking this for probably 40 years. Every month, her automatic shipment goes to her, she and her family, or as best she can with her family. A lot of families won't listen to you, but you should get your children on them. Look at this youngster. How did that happen? Well, I don't know how it happened. I do know it happened after he started drinking this preparation. And the same thing will happen to you folks. So I want you to come inside the website and have a look, read up on everything, and just give it a try. By the way, when you go onto the website, you will see a 50% discount on the first bottle. Now, the first bottle is not going to get rid of the tingling in your feet or stop the hair from falling because you're losing it or whatever else is wrong with you. It's going to start the process. It's a chemical reaction that has to happen. This is a catalyst that works on the blood. So for the blood to clean itself up and then be able to do what it used to do when you were younger, before it got too dirty, may take some time. A bottle, 2 bottles, 10 bottles. I'm not sure, depending on your body, depending on the rhythm, depending on thousands of things. All we know is that nobody who has ever had this over the 82 years since my dad began to commercialize it in 1943. Oh, by the way, 1943. We have a slogan on our label. Since 1943, tested in the finest laboratory in the world, the human body. Oh, talking about the world, we do ship worldwide. So the human body really is the finest laboratory. Who knows what it does every second? An awful lot of things. If you can tweak things, if you can tune it up like you do when you take your car to the auto shop. By the way, most Americans spend more time, energy, and money making sure their car runs smoothly than their own body. Isn't that terrible? So get on the tonic. I know that the government is going to push everybody to start using better ingredients, especially for our children. But imagine if you could give this to children. I guarantee you, I'll put my arm in fire, as a matter of fact. If you have one class who takes the tonic and the other class who doesn't, the class drinking the tonic is going to end up with a better attitude. They're going to be more polite. They're going to want to do their homework. They're going to get better grades. Their health is going to improve. Those that are too overweight will start losing weight. Those that have skin problems will start to get rid of them. It goes on and on. All you got to do is try it, watch and see. So make sure you take photos of your child, yourself, the face, the lines, the body, the overweightness, whatever it may be, before you start. And when you get started, take another photo a month later. You're not going to believe, you won't believe it. Because, we get up every morning in front of the mirror, brush our teeth. You don't notice, but your friends who you haven't seen for a while, just like this fellow who had the skin problem, when it disappeared and he saw friends that he hadn't seen for a while, they said, "What did you do? You look fantastic." See, it changes your body. It'll change your skin. It'll change everything. So what are the main things that people complain about these days? Well, stress, trying to control their weight, skin problems, especially for youngsters. Well, look at the food they eat. So all of these can be overcome. Look at this fellow. He sent me this before picture. He had a 100-pound belly. And then he drank the JC Tonic for 8 months, 2 or 3 or 4 ounces a day. 2 weeks after drinking it, he called me screaming, "I ate a salad." I said, "So?" Well, he said, "I'm the junk food king eater of the country." And he said, "That's why I've got all this weight and I've got poor health. And now I'm eating salads. I haven't had one for 15 years. Look at him afterwards. Lost 100 pounds. Look at that. Not even any hanging skin. Can this happen to you? Well, why not? It didn't happen to him for any other reason that he added JC Tonic to his regime. And he asked me, "What shall I change? Shall I change my diet?" before he started drinking. I said, "Change nothing. Just drink the tonic and watch and see what happens." And a couple months later, he called me just howling again. "I joined a gym. I'm going and working out a couple, 3 times a week." He hadn't done that for 25 years. So everything changes in your life. Your attitude, your features, your weight, your muscles, everything. And what about this fellow? Now, this is a biggie. His testosterone went from 350 to 740 something. Listen to what he has to say.
I came to Dallas and I got a doctor and he checked my testosterone. At 57 years old, I am almost 400. Now that's just taking an ounce a day. No, I'm sorry. I was 350 taking an ounce a day at 57. My doctor said, "You are high for your age. You don't need anything." He said, "You know how rare that is?" I said, "Yeah, it's in the millions." He said, "Yes." Now, I started taking 2 ounces after that, went back to him in a year. My testosterone was 480 something. And he went, "Wow." He said, "You're not taking shots. You're not got the pills." And I said, "No." And I showed him the bottle. He's the only doctor that knew what all this product was. Now, later I had some other minor problems. I went up on the juice to 4 ounces and then 5. I went to 500 and something on my testosterone at 62 years old. And then to prove a point to the doctor, I went up to 6 ounces just to see what it's going to do because I guinea pig myself. I went to 743 on my testosterone.
So there we are, folks. Try it. Watch and see what happens. Because a body is a body. Doesn't matter where you live in the world. Doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are, what gender you are. Nothing matters. They all work the same the world over. The whole 7 billion people, the body functions the same way. All in a different rhythm, all with different situations with each gland, each system. But if you use the JC Tonic, the used solution, you will have results. Now, I'm 87, going to be 88 this year in 2025, and I don't take any systemic meds. I still walk well. As a matter of fact, I can run. As a matter of fact, I swim. I was rollerblading until I was probably about 75, 78, I think, when I finally hung up my rollerblades. I was a pilot. I was flying a war plane. I'm not a war plane in the war, but a war bird. Uh, how could I do all that? I think I got my pilot's license. I was 55 years old. Well, I got it because I felt like I was 35 years old. And so everything in your life is going to be better. Your memory that starts to slide when you're 50, 60, 70 is going to start to return. And as you see, I mean, my brain is kind of razor sharp. I don't use a script. I'm just talking to you. There's no teleprompter. This is all from the heart and from the brain. It works. How is it possible that me at 87 can be like this? I think I do eat good food, but besides that, I think it's because I've been drinking this tonic. As a matter of fact, in the 1960s, I used to make batches and I'd give it to people. You ought to try this. Some would laugh at me, like they still do today, and some would take me serious and try it, and it worked for them as well, for whatever their ailment was, whatever their health issue. Some people who didn't seem to have a health issue got energy. They were better at their athletics. They could last longer at everything. They could go a little further in their run every morning. Whatever it was, their whole body improved in its ability. And in my case, in the 60s, every time I had a date, I'd bring some, and I would say to the gal, you ought to try this. It's really good. Some would try it. They would spit it out because they didn't like the taste. But some drank it, and they felt energetic right away, and they kept asking me for it. Even when we were not going out any longer, I would supply a bottle to whoever wanted it whenever they wanted it. And guess what? In 10 years, I guarantee you, I kid you not, every person that spat it out, they looked 10 years older. And the ones that drank it did not look 10 years older. They looked younger than their age. And they knew it, and everybody around them knew it. It's the same with me, and it's the same with all kinds of people. Thousands of people have had this tonic, and those that drink it on a regular basis continue to look younger, feel younger, be younger, act younger. This lady with the taxi driver who hit on her, she can get down on her knees and play with the great-grandchildren or the grandchildren. So would you be able to. So come on in, have a look. I can go on, as you can see, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. Read what Dr. Mowry has to say. He tells you the 10 important points, what a product has to have to be able to do in order to call itself a whole body tonic. And his presentation, click on it. It will tell you in great detail what this tonic herb concept is about, why it's so important, why it's the important thing to bring balance to your body, and why JC Tonic is permitted to be called a whole body tonic. It's worth its weight in gold. So come on in, have a look, and we'll see you there.